Om Sakshamritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Chittayamanovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sravadamyam Dadanti Svapavantikam. Vandeyam Shio Shiyuda Padakamalam Shiyam Vaishnavam Shirupam Jagatam Saganaragnatam Pitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagandita Shivshakam Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandha Jatpati Kopesha Kopra Kantara Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansna Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvana Sutta Devi Panamama Haripriya Pankha Kalpta Vishakri Pasan Vevisha Bhaknam Pavana Bhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvashesha Srihavadi Paskachani Kesatani Srila Prabhupada Ki Sri Radha Madhavan Ki Sri Gaunitai Ki. So today, this evening or this afternoon, I will present a seminar on Vraja-prema, a glimpse of Vraja-prema. We will try to enter into the consciousness of the Vrajavasis. So this seminar aims to present the pure consciousness of the Vrajavasis. So we will speak about her exalted position. We will speak about the symptoms of one who is absorbed in Vraja-prema and how it differs from other prema. You can say Vraja-prema or Vaikuntha-prema, so many premas. But it's a position of ecstatic sweetness. Now, how to attain that? Today we will discuss how to attain that position of Vraja-prema. That someone is interested. Yeah, that's a good idea. To go to Vraj, and that good. We know Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the embassy of the spiritual world. So Krishna has brought his spiritual home from Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, and brought it to this earthly Vrindavan and placed it into India. At least it appears to occupy space within India, but factually it exists transcendentally beyond this material world, beyond all the laws of the material world. But why is Lord Krishna doing that? Why is he appearing in Vrindavan? He takes birth and so on. Someone can explain why? And any proposal? That's in the Bhagavatam. Attract conditioned souls who are suffering in this world. I hear many times Bhakti Charamaj has left us, but I remember how sweet he could sing this verse from the Gopi Gita. Avagatamritam tapta jivanam yaviveditam kamasapaham Shravanamangalam Shimadatam Puri Grinanti Puri Dakshana Puri Dakshana Burijan. Always think of Burijan, that one who is very magnanimous. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those who are suffering in this world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reaction and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world. Who did that? Broadcasting all over the world. Srila Prabhupada. It's mentioned here. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. And certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most magnificent. So these descriptions of your activities, his activities, especially his activities in Vrindavan, that, of course, hearing this is, I would say, our business. Why? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 10:7, Etam vibhutam yoga samumya veti tatvata sovikapeni yogina yuchachena tasamse. One who is factually convinced of my opulences and mystic power, Krishna says, engages in unalloyed devotional service. This is no doubt. Therefore, we must hear about Krishna. Then we will be attracted to serve him. Because Shanma Karmas Medikam Yomevita Tatvam Punachamana. So one who knows my activities and my birth, my activities, does not take birth again in this world. So he brought is Goloka from Goloka Vrindavan to this world, especially those who are situated in pure goodness. Pure goodness. How do we get situated in pure goodness? Sattva Guna. Devotional service. So he comes especially for those who are performing devotional service. It's pure devotees. So, but Goloka Vrindavan is special. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's Gop Kumar, after a long travel, goes to Goloka Vrindavan. Goloka Vrindavan is beyond, and that's mentioned in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it's beyond the material and the spiritual worlds. That's an interesting point, beyond the material and the spiritual worlds. I had the same experience a few days ago when I came here. I came from Bratislava. They have a temple there and it's called Goloka. So I came from Goloka to Goloka. Interesting. But Goloka Vrindavan is beyond the material and the spiritual worlds. Bhuma Vrindavan is a little different from Goloka Vrindavan. What's the difference? You can say me? There is a difference, yeah. Krishna takes birth here. He takes birth. Not in Goloka, he's eternally there. And he kills demons. He does not do that in Goloka. In Goloka there are rumors of demons, but he does not. Kamsa will come. There are fear of Kamsa in Goloka Vrindavan, he never comes. But what makes Vrindavan different from Vaikuntha? In Vrindavan, you have experience of 5 primary rasas, santaras, asyaras. These two you find also in Vaikuntha, but then sakyaras, friendship, then vatsalya, parental and conjugal, you don't find in Vaikuntha. No? It's not there. You have been in Vaikuntha? No?
I'm Brajvasi Maharaj.
Oh, yeah, you have uncovered now. But, so he doesn't know about that. But yes, that, and also, of course, you have these 5 primary rases, but you have 7 secondary who come and go. That's, yes, these 7 secondary rases. Anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, mercy, dread, and ghastliness. But also the conjugal love is very special in Vrindavan. It's called parakia, unwedded. The wedded conjugal love we find in Dvarka. But yes, like we said this morning, that to understand the love of the Vraja-vasis, you must be free of lust. So normally, because Sukadev Goswami says to Maharaj Parikshit, you want to hear about Krishna, but Nivrittitaksarya, are you free from lust? Did you take your medicine sufficiently of hearing about Krishna? Hearing the first 9 cantos, how Krishna is in the creation and so on. You must practically realize that Krishna is everywhere before understanding Krishna. That understanding, how can you know Krishna? Bhagavad Gita says only by Ananya Bhakti, pure devotional service. That's the way to understand Krishna. But that requires purity. Because to enter in Vrindavan, you must have pure consciousness. A problem we don't have that in this world. Very difficult to get to purify the consciousness. To attain this level of Anya Bilasa Sunyam Jnana Madhanavakam Anukuliyana Krishna Nusiyanam Bhakti Uttama. That the devotional service to enter Vrindavan must be first class. No material desires, no witches, mukti and mukti, yeah. 2 witches, desire for material sense gratification, bhakti, or desiring for liberation. One must give up everything, all your desires. Only one desire, to please Krishna, to please the spiritual master. Same thing. But one must want to please Krishna favorably. But then the question is, how can I develop such consciousness? And I was studying, and I'm preparing for teaching a big part of the Uddhava Gita to the Bhaktivedanta students, and I went to chapter 10 till 16 of the 11th canto Uddhava Gita, reading all the commentaries of these acharyas. And it's not so much commentary, but there are a few on the 11th canto. But interesting, in the 11th chapter, Uddhava is asking Krishna, please tell me about symptoms of conditioned and liberated souls. So he tells in that chapter these symptoms, and then in the next chapter he says, but beyond this renunciation, beyond this liberation. The love of the Vraja-prema is beyond that. That's interesting. And then, because he's so intimate with Uddhav, he speaks about the love of the Vraja-prema in the 12th chapter of the Uddhav Gita. Interesting, when I presented also the Canto 10 chapters 10 till 8, chapters 8 till 86, that's one of the sections I presented to the Bhaktivedanta students. And in chapter 86, that's the end of the Dwarka pastimes. And some of the students started to complain. So that's the end of Krishna's Vrindavan and Dwarka pastimes. Now it's finished. And I said, no. The Vrindavan pastimes will come back in the 11th canto. This chapter 12. And we'll speak about this chapter 12 and today. And tomorrow we will try to enter the consciousness of the Vraja-prema with examples from, especially from Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu. It's very interesting how he describes the consciousness of the Vraja-prema. That we will try to taste it tomorrow, but today we want to know how to get there. So, when Uddhav asked about the symptoms of liberated and conditioned souls, the first thing Krishna says, the soul can never be conditioned or liberated. Because the soul has nothing to do with material energy. It's a consciousness that comes from the soul, which is polluted by the three modes. And that pollution that makes him act as thinking, I'm conditioned or liberated. So that's the problem. But he says a liberated soul is someone who woke up from a bad dream. That's interesting. When we go to sleep, we get up and we had a nightmare. Then after that, we think, oh, let's forget about it. It's just a dream. It started when I was going to sleep, and when I'm getting up, it's gone. In the same way, a liberated soul is someone who has understood this life of the body, beginning with birth, ending with death. It's just a dream. It's temporary, and I'm not a body. And when he realizes that, he becomes like a drunken man. Interesting. A man is drunk, and he doesn't know whether he wears clothes or not. No idea. Complete unaware of it. And we will see the Vraja-prema tomorrow. They have also some symptoms of that madness, that they forget completely the body. They are so absorbed in service and thinking of Krishna, they forget to eat and they become very thin. But they are just not aware of it. But interesting is also a liberated soul does not suffer anymore. And Krishna tells in chapter 12, this love of the Vraja-prema is beyond liberation. So why should they suffer? No, they are beyond liberation. Why are we suffering? Because of being attached to things in this world. We suffer. But if we give this attachment up, then like I was on the train and the person, and you meet people, you talk with them, then you never see them again. If they fall dead the next day, do you worry about it? No. Does that give you a lot of pain? Not much. You have known them just for a few seconds. But if someone dies to which we are attached and have a relationship, that is pain. That attachment. But the Vraja-prema have no material attachment. It's not there. So how can they suffer? Apparently, we will see tomorrow that they are suffering. But where do we experience suffering in the mind? That in the material world because of this attachment. But suffering from separation from Krishna is an ecstatic emotion of love. It's ecstasy, spiritual ecstasy, the greatest spiritual enjoyment. But it is an emotion of suffering. It's just a spiritual rasa. There is no pain. And we cannot understand that because we are in material consciousness. So we should not take, when I go tomorrow through the examples, take that this is, yes, suffering. No. Therefore, the Vraja-prema's love is not easy to understand. Yeah. So, in the 12th chapter of the 11th canto, Krishna starts to explain some particular characteristics of this love of the Vraja-prema and how to attain it. How to attain it. He said, the only way to attain Vraja-prema is to associate with my pure devotees. Association with pure devotees, that's the key. Because if you associate with pure devotees, then all one's attachment for material sense gratification is going, and by such association, one develops love for Krishna, and one brings Krishna under control. That's typical for the Vraja-premas. They control Krishna with their love. Because Shri Krishna Karshini is refined in nectar of devotion. They are attracting Krishna. By their love they bring Krishna under their control. So what is the process to attain that position of the Vraja-premas? So it starts with associating with pure devotees. And then Krishna says, yes, he gives a whole list of things, and he says, such activities do not bring me under control. Interesting to hear. It's the performance of Astanga Yoga. Astanga Yoga will not lead to Vraja-prema. That Sankhya Yoga, analysis of material nature and spiritual nature, what's different? The difference. Practice of non-violence, piety, chant the Vedas, that's interesting. Vedasa Sarvayame Bhavedya, Krishna has to be known by the Vedas, but they say, by chant the Vedas, you cannot attain Vraja-prema. Then performing penances, also not. Taking sannyas, also not the way. That will not help. Digging wells, planting trees, do public welfare activities, also not. Giving in charity, also not. Carry out severe farm laws, also not. Worship of demigods, no use for that. chanting of confidential mantras, visiting holy places, all doesn't help. One must associate with the pure devotees. But Jiva Goswami and others comment on this verse here of the 12th canto. We should not misunderstand that they say. Also, these activities are also pleasing Krishna, but not so much as associating with his pure devotees. That, because if you read that, then one thinks, why should I follow Ekadasi? No, we have to follow. That's also pleasing Krishna. That's to be done with the intention. But Vraja-prema, only pure devotees. Association. And then in the next verse, there's Krishna gives examples. Interesting. There's a whole verse full with examples. So Krishna says they gained the association of my devotees. By that became pure devotees. Some became pure devotees, they developed prema for Krishna by association of pure devotees. Others directly by association with Krishna. So let's see. Time for a little discussion. Vitrasura, we hear of them in the morning, and we'll hear more about them tomorrow. Although he was a demon, he was a pure devotee and went back to the spiritual world. With who did he associate? You know, next. Yeah. Narada Muni, Vitrasura, who was the first that he met in his birth was Chitraketu. Angira Muni. Yeah, Angira. He was the first, but he did not give him immediate instructions, right? He saw Chitraketu was too much disturbed. He could not get the sun. But, and then yes, because if one is too disturbed, one cannot hear anything about Krishna, about spiritual life. So he had to pacify him first to make him satisfied and give him a lesson. But I heard you heard the story yesterday, right? Chitraketu, so you know, a very late. And then later, of course, Angira Muni came back later with Narada Muni, but that was Vitrasura's story. And Prahlad Maharaj, with whom did he associate? Narada. Where did he learn from Narada? In the womb. In the womb. That's interesting. In his next life, he remembers everything. That means his spiritual memory is activated. It becomes self-realized in the womb. All the mothers who are pregnant, you have to hear the Bhagavatam. That I know many who, the man reads the Bhagavatam for the wife because the child is in the womb, and in 8 months the whole Bhagavatam.
Yes.
So that's because the Bhagavatam is Krishna. Turns your children in pure devotees. Very good practice. And Bali Maharaj, you can tell me, he was associated with whom? Bali Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a grandson of Prahlad.
He planted the seed of devotion in his heart.
Yeah.
And it got fructified by Bhavan the king.
Yeah, that we had to learn a few more lessons. It's mental talent knowledge. That's interesting. Maya Donova. Who knows? Arjun, yes. Who can tell the story? What happened? Maya Donova. Yeah, like, and the forest was put on fire. Why did Arjun do that? Yeah, yeah. Agni, of course, we perform fire sacrifices, that's Agni. And then every time we make oblations of the Swaha, and it became too much for him. Too much ghee. If you eat too much ghee, not good. And he got an indigestion, and in that Gandhava forest were herbs that would heal him. And so, anyway, Arjun make the arrangements, but in that forest was living Maya Danava. And he had to come out and he surrendered to Arjun. He associated with Arjun. And Arjun gave him an instruction to some service. What was the service? Yeah. Yeah, to build this big palace. Beautiful. But Maya Danava means, he was specialized in optical illusion, and he made it so perfect at some places you could not see the difference between the floor and water. And then, of course, the Pandavas invited the Kurus, and Duryodhana came, and he mistook the water for the floor, and he fell into the water. And all the ladies upstairs in the palace, they were laughing, and Krishna indicated, you laugh more. And of course, that was a big humiliation for Duryodhana, the beginning of the big conflict. Then we have Vibhishan, with whom did he associate? Hanuman.
He was devoted before that.
He was a devotee before that. He was a pious daughter of Ravan. Yeah. That's interesting. Someone knows about Sugriva, how he came.
Sugriva, the brother of Bali.
Yeah.
Sugriva, all their parents were rishis.
Rishis.
Their parents were all devotees. That's why that seed is there.
Okay.
Even what was the other name we just spoke about? Vibhishan's.
Vibhishan's
Father, they're all pious rishi.
Rishis.
They're rishis.
Okay.
So it's coming from there.
That's good. And Jambavan.
Dhama.
Yeah. Jambavan.
She was there in Rama Lila, Krishna Lila,
Yeah.
Giriraj. Two species, austerity said Giriraj.
Kiraj. Yeah. Gajendra, who was in his previous life, Indradyumna. Indradyumna, yeah. But, and he chanted mantras in his previous life. He remembers that. Someone knows the story of Jatayu? How we became a devotee? What's sure? Yes? Dasharat, yeah, I had heard that also. I don't know the story in detail. Dasharat, yes. That's.
He also got association of Garuda.
Garuda, okay. Yeah. and the wife of the ritualistic Brahmins. Not directly. They, well, they associate with the Pulindas. Pulindas were the original residents of Vrindavan, and they were forest people, Adivasi, and they were living from the fruits in Vrindavan, and well, they were all the fruits of the forest they were selling, and they went up to the outskirts of Mathura, and these wives of the Brahmins, they were living there, and they were buying from these Pulindas. We see also in Krishna's Lila that Krishna was 1 year old in Damodar. Then he saw his parents bartering fruits against rice to these Pulindas, and when he saw the fruit lady come in, Krishna took a little of rice and went to the lady to barter to get fruits, but everything was going to his hand. But of course, Krishna is so sweet, so this Pulina became attracted, and he gave him all the fruits. Then in her basket she found jewels later. Anyway, that's in Krishna book. But these are the Pulindas. The Pulindas, then the question is, how did they know about Krishna? Because Krishna was herding the cows in the forest, and where in the forest they saw Krishna. Every day they saw Krishna, and they were speaking about Krishna to the people. That and also to these wives of the Brahmins. And the wives of the Brahmins, they became so absorbed in Krishna that when, of course, then we know the cowherd boys, they went to ask these Brahmins, ritualistic Brahmins who were performing all these rituals to go to heaven, that they said, Krishna and Balaram are hungry, please give us some food, but they just neglected them. Then they went back to Krishna, and Krishna said, yes, one who begs, sometimes one is refused, what can we do? So, but you go to their wives, and then when the wives of these ritualistic Brahmins heard about Krishna, they became very enthusiastic. And with love, they started quickly to cook and bring everything they had. But then it goes further. Like, when Krishna entered Mathura, all the ladies of Mathura entered the roof of their houses, and they became very attracted to Krishna because they had also heard of Krishna and developed love for Krishna. Before they saw him, from who did they learn it? Vraja-prema, they were not really in contact with them.
They say meat products.
Yeah, that selling milk products to maybe, but they learned mainly also from these Pulindas and these wives of the Brahmins. They were living at the outskirts of Mathura. But now, anyway, in the purport, this verse, it's interesting. Many examples are explained, and we can check with what we heard whether it's complete. The Lord has mentioned devotees such as the gopis in Vrindavan and also demons like Banasur to illustrate how he comes under the control of those who surrender to him. It is understood that devotees like the gopis and others mentioned here obtain pure love of Krishna, whereas the demons generally obtain only salvation. Many demons were purified by the association with devotees and came to accept devotional service to the Lord as the most important among the various activities in their lives. I become very enthusiastic by by many demons became purified by association of the Lord. But the exalted devotees like Prahlad and Balamaraj know nothing except devotional service, which they accept as their very life. Still, the reformed demons are also mentioned so that the readers of the Bhagavatam will understand the enormous benefits one may achieve by associating with devotees of the Lord. The demon Vitrasur was the pious king Chitraketu in his previous life, during which he associated with Narada Muni, Angira Muni, and Lord Shankarshan, because then he went to the lowest planet there, but Shankarshan. Yeah. And Prahlad Maharaj, being the son of Hiranyakashipu, is considered a Daitya, a demon. Yet, while in the womb of his mother, Kayadu, he associated with Narada Muni by sound vibration. So here we associate with pure devotees by sound vibration and associate with Srila Prabhupada by sound vibration, by his purport. That's interesting. It's very powerful. That the demon Vraja-prema was abandoned by his mother at birth, but was raised by a muni and became a devotee of Lord Vishnu. Who know Vraja-prema?
This is not the same, I don't think so, the same Vraja-prema, which is the father of Shanisha. He's also Vraja-prema. We have to go, but he's also a demon, so we have to make sure that this is the same.
Yeah, that's Bali Maharaj associated with his grandfather Prahlad, and also with Lord Vamandev. Of course. Bali Maharaj's son, Banasura, with whom did he associate?
He was associated with Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, associated with Lord Shiva. And who was his father? Bali. Also the devotee son. Yeah. He also associated with Lord Krishna personally when the Lord cut off all but 2 of his 1,000 arms. So he lost 998 arms. He had only 2 left. Yeah. Because the 998 arms were being awarded as benediction by Lord Shiva. Understanding the glories of Krishna, Banasur also became a great devotee. The demon Mayadhanava constructed an assembly house for the Pandavas and also associated with the Lord himself, eventually achieving the shelter of the Lord. Vibhishan was a pious natured demon, the brother of Ravana, and he associated with Hanuman and Ramachandra. But also, of course, he was pious. So he became pious by association also in his previous life. Sugriva, Hanuman, Shambhavan, and Gajendra are examples of animals who achieved the mercy of the Lord. Those are not ordinary animals. Hanuman, demigod animals. Shambhavan or Riksharaj was a member of a race of monkeys. He personally associated with Lord Krishna, fighting him over the Syamantakasura. So that was his great time for associating with Krishna. Interesting association. 20 days fighting with Krishna. And fighting until you become a pure devotee. interestingly, the Krishna's ways are very, very various ways. The elephant Gajendra in a previous life had association with devotees. Not the end of his life as Gajendra, he was personally saved by the Lord. Jatayu, the bird who at the cost of his life assisted Lord Ramachandra, associated with Garuda and Maharaj Dasarat. Here you have it, Dasarat, as well as other devotees in Ramalila. He also personally met Sita and Lord Ram. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the association of Gandharvas, Apsaras, Nagas, Siddhas, Sharanas, Huyakas, and Vidyadharis had with devotees is not very prominent and does not need to be mentioned. Vanikpat is a Vaishya, and his story is mentioned in the Mahabharata in connection with the pride of Jali Muni. Will be different version of the Mahabharata. I did not read that. Do not remember the funny part. So the importance of association with devotees is illustrated in the story of Dharma Vyad, the non-violent hunter, as described in the Vraja-prema. In a previous life, he somehow became a Brahma Rakshasa or Brahman ghost, but was eventually saved. In a previous Kali Yuga, he had association of a Vaishnava king named Vasu. The lady Kupcha associated directly with Lord Krishna, and in her previous birth she had associated with Sri Narada Muni. Interesting. The gopis of Vrindavan rendered service to saintly persons in their previous births. Having had ample association with devotees, they became gopis in Vrindavan. Of course, you have different kinds of gopis. You have also Nitya Siddha gopis who come from the spiritual world directly. They also had association with Tulsi Devi or Vrinda Devi. It's good to do Tulsi Puja in the morning. It's also association with pure devotees. The wife of Brahmins performing sacrifice had association with women sent by Lord Krishna who sell flower garlands and betel nuts and heard about the Lord from them. Flower garlands and betel nuts were not only fruits. Then Krishna says, the persons I've mentioned did not undergo serious study of the Vedas, nor did they worship great saintly persons, nor did they execute vows or austerities. Simply by association with me and my devotees, they achieved me. So these things are okay. Study of Vedic literature, that worship of saintly persons, that they are also helpful processes that please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in this verse, Krishna says that all such processes are secondary. The essential process is associating with Krishna with pure devotees. And these activities like work, like study of the Vedas, doing austerities, they may lead to association with pure devotees also. That's interesting. So, let's see. Now, to understand Vraja-prema, Krishna in this 12th chapter gives two other characteristics. We heard already one, it brings Krishna under control. There's the other point here. The gopis of Vrindavan are like great sages in yoga trance, Krishna says. Great sages in yoga trance. Their mind can, in 10.9 Bhagavad Gita purport, it's their minds, the minds of the gopis of Vrindavan could not be deviated from Krishna even for a moment. When Akrura came to take Krishna to Mathura, the gopis did not like it. They wanted to stop him, but they were not successful. But then Krishna had left, and the gopis came together and said, yes, one gopi said, he has left us. And another gopi said, yes, he has left us. It's like a bee who sits in a flower and gets the nectar and then go to the next and forget the previous flower. Yes, another gopi said, he has forgotten us. He's now the object of the dances of Mathura, the city girls. Another gopi said, yes, it's true. He left us. So why are we still speaking about him? Let's stop speaking about him. Another gopi said, yes, let's stop speaking how he was smiling so sweetly. Another gopi said, yes, let's stop speaking about how beautiful he is. Another gopi said, yes, let's stop speaking about how he danced with us. Another gopi said, yes, let's stop speaking about how he garlanded us. How he garlanded us. So they never stopped speaking about Krishna. They could not. They could only think of Krishna. Their mind could not be deviated for a moment. Therefore, they are like great sages in trance. Like Purnamasi would go to the gopis and chastise them. He said, it's shameful. You are trying to get Krishna out of your mind. And great yogis with great endeavor try to meditate on Krishna. So that's one thing. They are the greatest yogis. Their mind could not be deviated even for a second. And then in text 13, Krishna, as a concluding word, text 13, it gives another characteristic. All those hundreds of thousands of gopis, hundreds of thousands, some of them, Vrindavan, it's not just 8 main gopis, hundreds of thousands, Krishna says to them. All those hundreds of thousands of gopis, understanding me to be their most charming lover and ardently desiring me in that way, were unaware of my actual position. That is interesting. Yet by intimately associating with me, the gopis attained me the supreme absolute truth. Krishna says, they didn't know my position. By their love, they see Krishna as their lover. Krishna becomes Gopi, Bhakta, Kamala, Das, Das, and Das. We are the servant of the servant of the servant of the lover of the gopis. that they think Krishna's their lover. They were completely absorbed in conjugal love, and they were and not being aware of Krishna's position means they were not aware of his unlimited potencies as the Supreme Personality of God. Yes. So that's the third characteristics. So tomorrow we will speak tomorrow evening about the experiences of devotees in Vrindavan in parental love and conjugal love. And we will try to enter their consciousness. And Gopal Shampoo describes some events from which we can understand somewhat what they are going through. Of course, we cannot understand really the absorption of the Vrajavasis, but it may give us a glimpse. Therefore, this seminar is entitled A Glimpse into Vraja-prema. So we learn three characteristics today from Vraja-prema. It conquers Krishna, the first one. The second one, they are the greatest yogis. And the third one, they could not understand Krishna's actual position. Understanding these points is important to understand the inner feelings of the Vrajavasis. There's much more to say about it. So, time is up, but if there are any comments, I can't answer the questions anyway, it's not above my level, but Pachuna Pavila Vrajavasis, he can answer all your questions. Are there other characteristics you remember from Vrajavasis which are specific?
The same as I don't. If I had to prepare for the same, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
I would like to add one, since it is, I'd like to add a small story, small pastimes, if you give permission.
Good.
Since we're talking about association, we're talking about Vrajadila, and so, Hare Krishna. Okay, so the queens of Dwarka, they happened to come with Maharaj Parikshit to Braj.
Mm-hmm.
And Maharaj Parikshit, Vajranab and Shandilya Muni, they re-established Braj. Vajranab established deities, he divided the villages, towns and everything. So the queens of Dwarka were very sad, they were lamenting, they were crying in separation from the Lord. So they met Kalindi, Yamunaji. And Yamunaji, she was very happy. And so the queens asked Kalindi, why are you happy? What is the reason for your happiness? Krishna is gone. You are also one of the wives of Krishna. Why are you happy? I have taken shelter of Srimati Radharani. So, yeah, but how? But I took shelter of Srimati Radharani in the form of when Uddhavaji came to Braj. At that time, he distributed some nectar, and I could survive by that. I could remember those instructions which Uddhava gave to all of us, and we survive. I'm surviving on that. So everybody was when Krishna left, everybody was in separation, and Akrura took Krishna and Balaram away, and everybody was in separation. But Uddhava came and he pacified each and every one, and including Srimati Radharani. So all of them inquired, as Kalindi said, that if you also want to quench your thirst, you also like to associate with Uddhavaji. Without Uddhava's association, it is not possible. So the queens inquired, where can we meet Uddhava? So Kalindi replied, he stays in two places. He stays in Badrika Ashram and he also stays in Govardhan, near Sakhistali, near Kusum there is Sakhistali. He stays there as Krippus. So if you go there, perform Nam Sankirtan, then Uddhavaji will come out from the Krippus, and then you can associate with him. So after hearing this solution, all the queens, they went to Parikshit Maharaj, Vajranam, they told everything to them. And all of them, they came to Kusum Sarovar. Yes, in Sakhistali, they all performed Sankirtan, Nam Sankirtan. And while performing Nam Sankirtan, Shri Uddhavji, Shuddha Prem Nam Sankirtan, Uddhavji also came, appeared, and he also joined the Sankirtan. So after the Kirtan, after the Sankirtan festival was over, the queens, Parikshit Maharaj and everybody, Vajranam, everybody took shelter of Uddhavji and requested Uddhavji, please, can you please give us some nectar by which we can get again the association of Supreme Lord. And Uddhavji said, we will discuss Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 month. And he told Parikshit Maharaj, my dear Parikshit, it's not the time for you to hear Bhagavatam now. You please go away. You please go and subdue Kali Yuga. He's trying to show its effect. So you go and take care of Kali Yuga. And he started to cry. Parikshit Maharaj said, you want to speak Srimad Bhagavatam to all of them, to Vajranam, to all the queens of Dwarka, and I'm not going to hear. Yes, you'll hear it in a concise form from the lips of Shukadeva Goswami. Just 7 days before your death, we'll start that seminar for you, exclusively for you. Don't worry, this Krishna's arrangement for you. So now you go and take care of this Kali Yuga while I sit here peacefully and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam for 1 entire month. So Uddhavji sat there and he discussed the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So we cannot neglect Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the life and soul of the Vaishnavas, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. If we don't emphasize on taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam, our spiritual life is useless. It is a food, just like for the body. For body to be nourished, we need food, and we take food. Similarly, for the soul to be nourished, we need Srimad Bhagavatam. So each and every Vaishnava should spend his time in hearing, reading, and speaking about the glories of the Supreme Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam. Even the queens of Dwarka, they took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Kalindi took shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we are discussing about association. So Srimad Bhagavatam and Uddhavji, personal Bhagavat and book Bhagavat, they both delivered the queens of Dwarka. Hare Krishna.
Oh, that's very nice. That's the perfect conclusion of today's session. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to present more details on the parental and conjugal rasa of the Vrajavasis tomorrow. Thank you very much. Jai Prabhupada.
Awesome. Yeah.